Hello there, guys. Today we're gonna talk about the US elections that are very kind of important to the world, as it's always kind of the case, because it's not only when you have elections in some random country in the world, it doesn't really matter, nobody cares, but when the elections are happening in the US, you have the whole world talking about it. So there are two sides, as always. I mean, the US system is kind of not very branched out. They are kind of just focused on two sides, and these two sides are becoming uh, very much not fond of each other. So they are really distancing each other from one another, and that is not a good thing. Like, it should be a decent competition between the two parties, not complete hate and nonsense, like the Biden saying that people that vote for Trump are garbage. That is very insulting to half of your population. Maybe more, maybe less, but about half, let's say, because it's kind of close, pretty close race between these two parties. So I mean, the Trump didn't really say that much like better things about people that are voting for Biden, but I mean, in this case, Kamala Harris. But I don't know. I don't like it. So first of all, let's look at why does it matter who wins? And in my opinion, it doesn't. In my opinion, President of the United States is there just to be there, like a illusion of democracy, which in the US doesn't exist. The problem with the US is that it's led by Pentagon, which looks like that thing you're gonna see on the screen, because that's even the names are kind of similar. So they're making all the decisions that's happening in the US and across the globe, where whenever there is any type of war that the US is provoking, that's staging, they're kind of in charge. So they're deciding who lives, who dies, and everything. And you can probably, like, you definitely saw when Trump was in power that they so the Trump himself is very much focused on making money. He's a businessman, that's what he does, and he wants to make as much money as possible. While he was in power, uh, he made some deals with Saudi Arabia. He sold them a bunch of weapons for their own war that we are not talking about because reasons. It's not important. Ukrainian war is important. We are gonna talk about that, but about other wars that are happening in the world, they're not important, so we are just gonna keep quiet about. So he made some deals, he sold some weapons, he made money. That was his deal. He wanted to make money, but also he did some questionable things. And at the time, I remember watching Alex Jones, I think that's his name, and he says that he personally knows Trump. And when Trump was announcing some military actions in Syria, Alex said that Trump looked, and he did look very weird in the interview where he, it's not even an interview, it was a statement he issued from the White House, that he looked like he's at the gunpoint, and he looked different, he looked scared, and he was announcing these things that are not profitable to him at all. So it was clearly not his decision. It was a decision made by someone else, most likely in Pentagon, and he just had to let people know about what's happening. Now, these people that are currently in charge, the whole Biden administration and Kamala's, they are very compliant to work with this war-hungry machine, and they really don't want Trump to get there because he's not that compliant, but it still doesn't really matter because he still has to do whatever he's told to do. So it really doesn't matter how this plays out, who gets in power, everything is gonna remain the same. They're gonna do the same things. The only thing that's gonna happen, so there are two options, two choices. So the first choice would be, let's say Kamala Harris wins the election. That means the war in Ukraine continues for a bit longer, and the war in Israel is gonna get even worse. But if Trump wins, he did promise to end the war in Ukraine. Now, if you would question me, you would say, well, how can Trump end the war in Ukraine if Pentagon is deciding everything? Well, Pentagon also decides who wins the election. Believe it or not, but I don't have the evidence, but I can tell you the reasons why I believe in this. So Pentagon clearly planned this war in Ukraine, but they didn't plan it very well. It was a very stupid decision because they kept claiming Ukraine can win the war, which they clearly cannot. Like, from the very start, even if we gave them 10 more years, they still don't have the population to win the war. They don't have the weapons, like nuclear weapons. They cannot win the war. You can, even in a video game, you cannot win the war with Ukraine alone against Russia. It's just impossible. So if they let Trump, if they put him in charge, he's gonna be there to do what he promised. He's gonna end the war in Ukraine, most likely by giving Russians a bunch of Ukrainian land. Some of the land is going back to Poland, some to Romania, some to Hungary. I think even Slovakia has some of the land they gave away for the creation of Ukraine, and they're probably gonna get that back eventually. And a little portion of Ukraine is still gonna be existing, most likely, if Russia doesn't just gobble it all. But it shouldn't really do that because Russia doesn't have any need for more land, as we talked about in the last video. So the only reason why Pentagon would let Trump win, would put Trump in power, is so Trump can end the war, and eventually they would blame Trump for doing so. They would be like, oh, you ended the war, we were winning, as they always say, even though Ukraine keeps losing territory. I don't know how that's winning, but in their books is apparently winning. And that they would put it in power just so they didn't fail. So they don't say we lost the war, because this is a war against NATO and Russia. Ukraine is there just collateral damage. So they just wanna blame somebody for not winning in the end, and Trump would be a perfect guy to take a fall for it. He would get very well paid to do so, and obviously he's gonna do it. He knows what's the deal. And in Israel, we still have Trump saying that he would support him completely. As we all know, while Trump was in power, he tried to fix the dispute between Israel and Palestine, and he fixed it, well, Nazi Germany style. He just went in Israel and said this land from Palestine is now Israeli, and no more fighting between you. And nobody asked Palestinians anything about it. So they just, did a Austria and Czechoslovakia annexation type of deal, like the UK and France made with Germany in World War II, when Germany went like, we want France, we want Austria, and everyone was like, okay, we want Sudeterland, the part of Czechoslovakia, and UK and France went like, okay. And nobody asked Czechoslovakia to do this. They just gave away the land that was not even theirs to appease them. That was the appeasement process, so they don't antagonize Germans even more. Which, as we know, didn't end well at all. Not just for the West, for the Europe. It didn't end well for the world. And now we had the same thing happen in Israel while Trump was in power. So if Kamala Harris wins, well, the war in Ukraine continues, the war in Israel continues. If Trump wins, the war in Ukraine most likely stops, but the one in Israel is gonna be even bigger, and Iran is most likely going to get invaded, as the... what was the general's name that... there is a ex-US general that already stated a plan that the US planned a long time ago, about 7 countries they would invade, and I'm pretty sure the only one left right now is Iran, because it was already planned way before. So maybe if, because current administration did say that they would not join the war against Iran, if Trump comes in power, he's gonna be saying some different stuff, and that is gonna be blamed on Trump in the end, because he's gonna end one war, because US will be in 2 wars no matter what. So that is just what it is. So either it's gonna be Ukraine and Israel, or it's gonna be in Israel fighting Lebanon and potentially Syria, because US is already illegally occupying 1/3 of Syria, and they're gonna have the war in Iran. So however you look at it, election doesn't matter. So it just, the only thing that matters is how much did Pentagon mess up, and how much they want to blame on who. That's pretty much all. So your election, even though the whole world is watching and waiting for it, thinking that it matters, I'm telling you it doesn't. Nothing's gonna change. It's only gonna get worse on one side or the other. Now we have another thing, that is the assassination attempt of Donald Trump, as we all saw it. Some people think it's fake. Some people think it's staged, it's whatever, because Secret Service was kind of acting blind. Everybody, even the crowd, was saying that they saw the shooter, and Secret Service was just blatantly ignoring it. So people, because of that, people think it was staged. Now, I wouldn't think it's staged, because he got hit in the ear. I highly doubted they have anyone trained to hit that precisely. To just miss the head by an inch and hit the ear. That is kind of impossible. So, who tried to kill him? Why did they try to kill him? And it's obvious who tried to kill him. It's somebody connected very close to Ukraine. Because if Trump comes in power and ends the war in Ukraine, Ukrainian fight is over, they lose, and they lose a bunch of territory. They lost who knows how many people in this war. That will probably never be said publicly. Somebody that doesn't know that Pentagon is in charge, or doesn't still believe that, tried to end Trump because they believe, but that's not his decision. You should never just assume, especially with the US, that president has to do anything with that. So clearly Pentagon has everything figured out the way they wanted the world to go around. The general that you should really be listening to is right here. They posted the video of him, the interview, saying all these things that I'm just confirming. So his name is Clark Wesley. Now he already talked about all these things, and you can listen to the guy and figure it out yourself, that everything is decided in Pentagon. So don't shoot Trump. It's not gonna change anything. If it's not Trump, they'll put someone else who's gonna be saying the same things as Trump. Maybe not in the same way, because he still has some sort of freedom of speech. He does get certain points he has to cover, but he can say it in any words he likes. Like when he called, while he was in power, when he called some countries shitholes. That was very professional from a president of the apparently free country. That's like Biden now calling Trump voters garbage. It's very professional and not childish at all. But still, doesn't matter what each of them say. Everything is already decided, and your vote is most likely not being counted at all. The only reason why this election and previous elections are being held is to divide people in the US. Because even on the streets today, people that have Trump signs on their cars and whatever, devoted fans, whatever the case is, why they have these things, the other ones that don't like Trump and that are about Biden and so-called Democrats, they attack them on the street. And it's not just Trump supporters being attacked. Trump supporters are also attacking the other ones. So they're dividing people in the US for I'm not sure what reason. I don't know how that's gonna benefit anyone, but they probably know. And that's I don't like that. Why not keep peace? Why not keep everything competitive, healthy competitive, and not have this nonsense? Like in my country, for example, when there is a voting cycle going, there are like 10 parties to vote for. And nobody's really attacking each other. Somebody's like, I'm gonna vote for this guy because he's this, and that. The other guy's gonna say, well, he's lying, you know that, right? This guy, oh no, I believe them. And that's it. A little bit of arguing, just a peaceful debate, and that's it. Nobody's beating each other. Nobody's wearing their flag, their whatever, around and saying publicly, I support this guy. No, I support him, but I support him in my way. I don't have to show that to everyone. It should be private. In the US, it's not. It's purposefully being let out for people to judge each other just based on who they're voting for. They're refusing to even talk to one another. Division is becoming worse and worse, and that is never a good thing. So just don't be mean to other people because they vote for other party. Don't think that your vote counts. Don't think that you live in a democracy. Ever since that building was built, you are no longer democracy. You have no idea who's leading your country. At least I mean, it's not any better in Europe. European Union has Brussels that's giving all the orders, but who knows where they're getting those orders from. It's most likely again from that building. It looks like it. I don't have a proof, but it really looks like it. They're doing everything that's being told by these guys to do, and you cannot just be like, oh, it's all fine. It's not fine. Why would Europe do some of the things they've done so far? It doesn't make any sense, but still, those people in Brussels we know who they are. They are always in the open. They say they made some decisions and they do things they decide to do, but we see them. We have no clue who works in Pentagon, who's making decisions that are making them. Nobody ever elected them, just like nobody elected people in Brussels, but at least we see them. Whoever is in Pentagon is who's leading your country and most of the suffering in the world. So if it's Kamala or Trump, it doesn't matter. Vote for whoever you like. Decisions are already made, and there is no reason to hate each other. By no means, don't hate each other. Don't just because somebody believes in something, he has every right to believe in everything. I can believe in flying pigs that are controlling the universe, and I'm praying to them every night. That doesn't mean I have to be punched in the face for it, or that I have to punch everyone in the face that doesn't believe in that. So fine. Everybody has the right for belief, for their own private things, and it should be kept private. I mean, you can say, I support them. That's it. The other ones can only say, I don't. And that's it. We can drink, we can be friends. It doesn't matter. So do the same to your fellow Americans. If you're really American and you really care about your country, it doesn't matter who you vote for. It only matters how you treat people around you. So do that. Be smart. Don't let them divide you. Don't let them destroy your nation. You have a great nation there. Have a great country. Keep it great. Trump is not gonna make it great again. Kamala Harris is not gonna make it any better. It's the same thing. The only people who can make it better is the people. Don't care what elites are saying, just be kind to one another and make sure your voice is being heard. That's all you can do. So, thank you for watching. Again, be kind to one another. And make sure, wow, that's a butterfly of some sort. Yeah, make sure you subscribe. I'll let you know what they're cooking while you're not looking. And I'll see you on the next one.